place, and this is where we look. Listen, we've been punting 2035, 2035. We see this 45% youth-based world that we will exist in. But what does this truly mean is the question. And I'm excited to explore this, because not only are we going to be looking at the landscape of the African continent, but this is a stat that lives globally. The interesting part is that how Africa educates, empowers, and employs this generation will shape the global markets, innovation, and society itself. To help us explore what these all mean, from opportunities to urgent action, we are joined by Willem Gous, who is an entrepreneurial thinking expert. Willem, welcome back.
Hey, Sheila. Thank you for having me.
Willem, I want us to start off with a breakdown, right? I've been punting this the entire show. 2035. Oh, the youth, 45% across the world. But what does that look like? I mean, I had to make it tangible. So I said 2 in every 5 people that you'll meet will be part of the youth.
Yes.
Right? But what does that mean in terms of business and growth and acceleration, given all the negative commentary that will be spoken about the youth today, given the fact that there is this school of thought that the youth isn't applying themselves. They aren't applying themselves. They aren't trying to better themselves. They aren't using technology for their benefit. And so what does the year 2035 look like to you?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Having worked and actively working a lot with youth and working with thousands of township entrepreneurs, I have a first-hand account of the youth's thinking and the application and how they apply themselves. So how it will look like from a business perspective is we'll have a very young, up-and-coming workforce with little or no experience and little motivation to apply themselves. Now you're sitting with a conundrum there.
Sure.
Because I'm sitting with new blood coming into my company, and they're clock watchers. They arrive a little bit after 9 o'clock and they leave a little bit before 5 o'clock. and if you ask them to do something outside of their job description, they go like, yeah, that's not my job. You know, as an entrepreneur, sorry to hear about your stuff. This is your job for today.
Yeah.
And it sounds cruel, but to put it in perspective, I'm a small company. I like to keep it that way. And I host international interns in my company, from throughout Africa to America, Asia, right around the world. And there's about 2,000 companies that host these interns, but I'm in the top 50 of development. Because when somebody comes to work for me, they don't do one thing.
Yeah.
They do 20 different things. And over a period of time, they learn a lot. And why it works so well is because they apply themselves.
Sure.
And what I've seen in the youth, and it's not all their fault, they don't apply themselves. They don't use the technology in a way that can better themselves. Somebody would be late for my training where I show them how to start a profitable business in 5 weeks without external funding. They said, I missed your WhatsApp because I don't have data. But then later in the classroom, I say, well, raise your hand if you watch more than 3 hours of YouTube a day. Guess whose hand's going up? The person that doesn't have data to read a WhatsApp. So their priorities are there. And from what I can see and my interaction, the environment is just not conducive. It's a negative environment. It's a tough environment. Now, is that an excuse? Everybody has constraints. But also how one thing that I've hammered on so many times is the learned helplessness. People believe that I must have this, and must have that in order for me to move forward. And that is one of the biggest lies. You know, always ask people, you know, when I was in Sharpeville a few months ago, and they said, but Willem, this is so tough. And I said, yes. Is it hard to live in Sharpeville? And they said, yes. I said, I agree with you. Is the economy tough? They said, yes. I said, I agree with you. Is there little money to go around? They said, yes. I said, I fully agree with you. You are so right. All of these things count against you. But you have a choice. Do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? And it's the hand that you've been dealt. It's the horse that you ride. It's the environment that you're in. So you can either complain about it or make a decision, I will change things. You know, we spoke about different areas that I go into, places in South Africa where you go like, I would never go there. And I've met a lot of people in the corporate world who work themselves out of that. And now they're in C-level positions. And they are amazing human beings. But they made the choice to take charge of their future. And it's difficult and it's lonely. So yes, it's not the youth's fault completely. The environment is not very conducive to opportunity. But if you make the choice, if you stop looking out the window to blame somebody and look in the mirror and ask yourself, what can I do? That's when things change.
Sure. Willem, from the onset of this particular 8-week series, we've talked about the fact that entrepreneurial thinking is less business and more human, right? It's more the person.
It's a life skill.
Than it is the business, because the business is a reflection of you, yes. Essentially. I want to talk about how the disassociating factor of technology will influence the youth's ability to think creatively for solutions. Now, if I can't connect with you because I'm on WhatsApp, and I'm using all these apps, and I don't feel like I really need to know how you're doing. I'll send you a quick text message. You'll respond when you want to. I don't know if that warrants me or gives me the sense of urgency to want to solve your problem, right? And that's what business is. It's solving problems. And so if we're seeing these individuals disconnect from each other, how do you think this will impact us by 2035?
That is a very good question and a valid question. There's two sides to it. Yes, there's that disconnect. And I always see people when they, in my classrooms here, we're going to Facebook, we're going to post this, and go like, no, you're not. You're going to do B2B business. Are you familiar with B2B? What that stands for?
Business to business. No.
No. Belly to belly.
Whoa. Okay.
You walk up to somebody, you're like, hey, Sheila, you look a little bit thirsty there. I've got this amazing bottle of water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you go like, yeah, I'm not that thirsty. I'm like, do you know somebody who's thirsty? And because it's scary. People have forgotten how to talk to each other. Quick question.
Yeah.
When last can you remember that somebody, just a friend in a social environment, listened to you?
Oh, today I have the privilege.
You had.
Yes.
And it stood out because it's not a regular occurrence. Quick question as well. When last did you really listen to somebody outside of the studio?
Well done. I had to today.
Yes. And most people listen to Reload. When you go like, well, girlfriend, I had a bad day. She goes, wow, let me tell you about mine. So yes, we have that disconnected people that they have, and even when they talk, they have their phone with you and they're not really with you. But I think as we learn to, that's the wonder that I love about artificial intelligence, because now you need to learn to communicate. If you can't communicate to this alien machine, you're not going to get the output. And as you learn to talk to the machine, you might learn again how to talk to human beings. Because now you have to set the context.
Yeah.
You have to be clear with your instructions, with your deliverables and your expectations.
Do you think people are maximizing on that?
No. No, they're not.
Why?
Because they just copy and paste.
Ooh.
Yes. I've seen that time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make a decision. Either the machine is your thought leader or you are the machine's thought leader.
Mm.
And most people allow the machine to be their thought leader. Watch an interesting clip from a psychologist, and they were talking about these Claude boys. So Claude is a specific artificial intelligence that I also use, and these teenagers just wake up and ask Claude, what should I do for the day? And it just follows the machine.
Okay.
And once you do that, then you've actually given away your right to complain. Because if life doesn't turn out, well, you made the choice not to make a decision. And not making a decision is also a decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. The voice there of Willem Gous. He is an entrepreneurial thinking expert joining us this evening. Listen, the prime stat is by 2035, almost half of the world's populace will be the youth. And we are now zooming into the context of the African continent, but also seeing how we can leverage from that particular stat, not just for the sake of damning the youth, because I also think that that's what a lot of people find themselves doing, shunning on them and saying, hey, you're not progressive, you're not this, you're not that. I do think that we can win with this populace, especially because they have agile minds. And so we will be getting into the solution in the second half of the conversation. Willem, I want to turn to education quality. Yeah. If 60% of the African populace is the youth, and of course this under 35, and we still have grade 4s in South Africa, of course this is contextual, it could be different in other countries, that struggle to read for understanding. What are we producing? And what will we see by the year 2035? And of course, this is not to shun upon the efforts of governance and the education systems across the continent. We just want to be practical about what it is we're churning out currently.
Well, I want to look at the education system like a gym membership.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that you have a gym membership doesn't mean you're going to get in shape. Yes.
All right.
You actually have to go to the gym and do the work.
Yeah.
So I can give you a bad gym with rusted weights, and I can still get fit. I can give you the best gym in the world and still not get fit. I have a hand to play in that as well. Now, there are some very sad circumstances in the education sector right through Africa, where people have little or no equipment. But it's again, I can choose to remain this way, or what might I be able to do? So think of it as a gym membership. Are you going to participate and use the facilities? And education systems, you have to realize nowadays, includes YouTube. Have you watched the YouTube? Have you read an article? Have you asked an artificial intelligence?
Sure.
Yes. So the youth, yes, a lot of negative things are being said about them. And we have to take into account as well that they have to struggle with identity, and look at the identity out there. Everybody's trying to live up to the identity of a rapper. That's why I sit with youth who start a shop on the street, go like, no, I'm going to have a G-Wagon in by the end of the year. They're like, no, you're not. You're not going to have a G-Wagon by the end of the year. And it's the fantasy that it breeds. And the problem is they're so disconnected with the world, and it makes it difficult to leave. You can't leave a place you've never been to. If you don't make peace with the reality of what is, and you live in fantasy that it's just this one break, just this one thing, it's never there. That one break and that one deal never comes. I mean, I've had like a meter tall stack of deals that we mean retirement. Nothing ever came off. And all my friends, when they have a few glasses of wine, no, I had many of those. Yeah, we're going to do this and take over the world. No, it doesn't.
Sure.
And what the youth needs to understand, specifically when it comes to business, everybody wants to start this big thing. If you can't start a small business, you can't start a big business. If you can't make a small business work, you're not going to make a big business work.
Yeah.
And money doesn't make you an entrepreneur. It doesn't. Because the thinking remains. It's the same thing as, I don't know if you've ever read the statistics on lottery winners, but 99.999% of them lose all their money and then some more a few years down the line. Because they became rich, they were never wealthy. They never had the mind to manage money, but they had the need to have money. So they became rich, but they were never wealthy. And that's when they just burn through it, and then they lose everything, and then they're usually more in debt after that than they were before.
That brings me to the question of mental health. Where might we find ourselves, and why are we there? Just in the context of thinking progressively. I mean, you said something so interesting, this learned helplessness, right? I think is a great stagnation in any creative space. And so where did we get that from? Is it something that's passed on from generation to generation? Is it this comparative analysis that we keep on doing where you hop onto Instagram and every girl has a particular car brand and you feel like you need that car brand and now you can't get it because you don't have the money? What is it? Where does that come from?
There's so many things. Let's look at a cultural level. I'm a firewalking instructor. So I get people to make a red hot fire, and I get people to take their shoes off and they walk barefoot over that fire. I do that. And I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to an African person, have you ever firewalked? And their response would be, no, I'm black. And I'm like, wow, that is so loaded. There's so much to unpack in that. And every culture, every race have that. In my culture, you were brought up to shut up, be humble, and work hard. And if you make easy money, you're crooked. So when I didn't work hard and I made a lot of money, I then took that money and invested it in stuff that frustrated me, made me work hard, and lose all that money. So on a cultural level, all of that is there. But then on a societal level, there's I played a great video clip to a bunch of youth a while back, and somebody did Three Little Pigs, the fairy tale of the Three Little Pigs, in Shakespearean, in full Shakespearean. Okay. And it was hilarious. The little bits of Shakespeare that I could still understand. And I said to them, that's how you sound when you speak business. They have this idea that business is a language, that it is something that you have to speak this high and mighty, like Willem. We need to look at the levels of liquidity within this business, and just munch on this cucumber sandwich and your cup of tea while I bring out this prospectus and just show you, let's run the numbers. Like, okay, what does that mean in English? So that's my number one thing there. So people believe that it's something, but then also the limits that been put around things, beliefs, and I just spoke to somebody in Europe, and I spoke to somebody there, and a close friend of them said to me, hey, they also hold back because they believe they need money to really bootstrap this business. And it's this belief that's been, we should stop using the word funding. That should be banned from the lexicon completely. Language should, and we should call it a loan. See, that makes it serious. They're like, suddenly I don't want funding. Yeah.
That is fair.
Because alone you have to pay back. Because when I ask you use funding, raise your hand if you believe you don't have to pay it back. And usually a third of my class go like, no, you don't have to pay it back. Like, really? Hold my coffee. Let's do the math. So there's the society. There's the family and culture that plays into it. There's the environment that all plays into it. And then obviously youth, me being a parent to a teenager, they have to find their identity. And they're so impressionable. So kudos to the youth for just surviving this.
And on that note, it is 30 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African time. Listen, it is not all doom and gloom. We come with a solution right after this.
Annie Kalonji.